Hello and welcome to our concluding episode from Esther. We have read all of Esther apart from this very final chapter, a very short chapter, and I'm just going to start it off just going to start off here, which concludes our story, the story that you've heard over the last 9 chapters, and this just brings it to conclusion really. Chapter 10 of Esther. King Xerxes made everyone in his kingdom pay taxes, even those in lands across the sea. All the great and famous things that King Xerxes did are written in the record books of the kings of Media and Persia. These records also tell about the honours that the king gave to Mordecai. Next to the king himself, Mordecai was the highest official in the kingdom. He was a popular leader of the Jews because he helped them in many ways and would even speak to the king for them. And that's the end of the book of Esther. Short and sweet, that last chapter, just bringing everything together really and putting it in a context. But just to say a couple of things really. Firstly, to say it's been really interesting reading these 2 books, Ruth and Esther, and we're looking forward to our Bible book group a week on Wednesday on the 11th of September, 7 o'clock at Denham Shared Church. Come along and join in the discussion. Also been fascinating to realise that these 2 books in the Bible are the 2 books in which God is mentioned least. God is not mentioned at all in Esther, and is only mentioned by members of the cast in the book of Ruth. Many of the books of the Bible speak about how God acts and how God works, and God does this and God does the other. But in these 2 books, God is not really part of the story in the way that he is in any of the other books. But what we do see, and a common theme between the 2 books, is very much the way that within the goings on of our world, God is at work. So God is quite clearly behind the story, and is kind of always assumed to be there in the kind of coincidences, or what some people often call the God incidences that happen in our world, the way that things work and the way that God kind of helps to move things so that they work in a direction working with what people do on earth, and the way that we are with one another, and that God works within that to bring about his schemes and his plans for our benefit, because we see that in both of the stories, that God looks after his people, and the way that God cares for and upholds those who worship him in very difficult circumstances. And they're not always Jewish. Ruth wasn't a Jewish woman. She was a Gentile living among the Jews, yet she was exalted to be the one who was the grandmother to King David. And then we get Queen Esther. Esther was a Jewish woman living in a Gentile land, and she had a very opposite story, becoming the queen, going from poverty really into great riches and wealth, and having this power that brought about vindication for the whole of the Jewish nation in that land, and a festival which is still celebrated to this day. 2 fascinating books. There are some amazing things in our Bibles, and it's been really good to explore this one with you over this couple of weeks, and Ruth the week before. So do join us, 11th of September, 7 o'clock, Denham Shared Church. Come and join us, and we will discuss what we think about Ruth and Esther. Thank you very much for joining me, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. All the very, very best. Oh, before I say goodbye, just to say that obviously no more book groups over the summer, now that the summer is coming to its end, but we will be back on Monday with morning, evening and night prayer, as we join together 8 o'clock for morning prayer, 5 o'clock for evening prayer, and 9 o'clock for night prayer after our little summer break. So really good to be back with those. We'll see you next week. All the very best. God bless. Bye bye.